And we are live.
Wow, I liked that intro. A little
That was nice, Kanishk.
oh, nice.
I had no part in making it. I'm just happy we have a good design team that gave it to me and I could just use it.
Shout out to the
Um,
across design
yes,
team.
sir.
Huge fan.
Yes, sir. Sweet. I'm so happy you guys are here because I've, as you know, been looking at Blend for a while. Also, I've been asking Manny very irritating questions about how Blend works every now and then. And he's been patient enough to teach me all of it um, and explain things to me. And of course, Jamie, we love the app. We've all looked at the app. You've done a great job there. And today's session at Crosschain with Kanishk is just to define how is Blend enabling global savings? What is the aim that you have with this application? And of course, um, we know that you have a really strong background when it comes to interoperability, when it comes to understanding how different chains and different, protocols on these chains work and how you can accrue value from a lot of them. For the viewers who don't know, we all used to work together at one point in time. And then Manny and Jamie, they had this amazing idea. Now today we learn how Blend actually started. So we are really, really excited to dive into the history, the technicalities, and then where do you see Blend going? Um, and yeah, with that, let's get started. Manny, we'll start with you. Tell us more about what you do at Blend. We know you're the CEO, and what does your day to day look like? And we'll kick it from there.
Yeah. One thing is it's nice to see you, Kanishk, and we always say once a risk labber, we're all a risk labber kind of situation. So one thing that like was super important for us is that we still use the tech that we believe in, right? And like cross-chain tech, something like a cross intent basis, like the key for safety and moving money around all these chains. So that's kind of why like our day to day is like kind of pseudo, like my day to day is kind of pseudo building that insurance that we are building this product based on like high quality amounts. The stack is as important as Blend. So like who are the partners that we interface to? This is what I do day to day. So I build what I call confidence of a savings product, right? So that starts all the way down to the base premises, like what are we using for interoperability product? How is money moving around? What are the security assumptions of this product that we're basing it on? So why that's one of the reasons that we worked at Across, we fell in love with Across, we integrate Across, right? And then the day to day as well is just like thinking about day to day growth of users coming into it. So like what do these users need? Where are they lost in the user experience? How do we make like DeFi not feel like DeFi is like the number one thing that I scream about, Jamie, is like, what's the story that people are telling us? Are we answering them? Because like savings is boring on DeFi, because what you could be doing is putting 100x lev on a fun token and seeing it rip, right? And that dopamine rush is like something that's inherently part of our like DeFi experience, right? So day to day, I'm really focused on building good B2B like partnerships. We're working with a lot of chains. We're working with like different types of neobanks. So things that are like settling global trade in euros, settling global trade in yen. So things that like other DeFi protocols are not really thinking about. We're powering stable coins, or there's like local stable coins that have that problem, which is there isn't enough liquidity in Japanese yen yet right now. And so how can Blend synthetically build that kind of yield sources further? So that's what my day-to-day is like, and exactly what I did at Across and Uma. I'm a yapper. I yap all day. I talk to people and I learned that. But the only other side is with Across, like we did more B2B, and Blend, I get to talk to customers. So a lot of the times I'm sitting in the Discord, I'm very reachable. People shoot me Telegram messages all the time. And I promise I try to answer all of them, everyone. So that's my day to day, is more so figuring out the best experiences than really understanding what else can we build for unique. We're not a replacement of commodities. That's what I tell people. Aave is part of our strategy. We're not here to say shouldn't use Aave. Morpho is a part of our strategy. Other Pendle is part of our strategy. We're just a way to bundle this in a safer way, in a core product that you own your product, you own your keys, you own your custody, and it's a Gnosis safe, and it's like a different layer of a savings layer. So these base commodities should always exist. We're not here to replace them. And that's a lot of teaching in that.
Nice. Jamie, over to you. I have so many threads to pull from your answer, Manny, but I want to hear you.
Okay, do
We'll
it.
come back.
Oh, Jamie, you're on mute.
Oh, the classic. Yeah, I mean, so my day to day is largely similar in a way, except where Manny is making all of the connections and making sure those connections properly are able to interface with the blockchain. I A lot of what I do on a day to day though is ensuring that we are properly ferrying funds to where we need to do, like where we need to go. What's going on with Blend under the hood, if you think about it, is we're running a fleet of Gnosis safes for every user. So there's a ton of complexity that comes to that. And so how we go about distilling that information and distilling that from like a large technical feat to something that we can isolate and break up individually has been a lot of my day. But as you can see, we're almost at 4,000 safes deployed globally, and the service has chugged along at uh, optimal capacity. So I think what I'm doing is working. There's also a lot
That's
of
actually
models.
that's music to my ears because compromising on the Gnosis safe architecture will be bad, and I see that you've put a lot of thought and effort into it. But I do want to understand one thing as and either of you can answer this, and I think our users and listeners would also love to understand how when you say that Aave is a part of the strategy, Morpho is a part of the strategy for enabling global savings here. So does that mean I can come to Blend, deposit in USDC because that's the asset I hold the most, and then Blend takes over and then allocates it differently onto these protocols and then gets me yield? How does it work under the hood, or what should be the ideal mindset that a user should come to Blend with?
Yeah, I mean, at its core, Blend is what we call a meta curator layer. And so what that looks like is you, instead of having to like look at your screen 24/7, say, for example, Arbitra or Aave. On Arb right now, I think Aave is getting 2 point something percent, and on mainnet it's getting 4. And so like there's an arbitrage opportunity. And if you were staring at your phone for 24 hours a day, you might see that, you might be able to do that. Every click of a button is introducing human risk, but you can do that. You can optimize your account. But most people don't want to live on their computer all day. So what we built effectively is a system where you onboard into a single interface, and then Blend is going to go about ensuring that you're in those Aave protocols, those Morpho, those Euler, etc. We'll provide you a whole due diligence list of why this is as it is. And what you can think of Blend really like under it all is it's almost intent based, right? So there's an intent of this global portfolio, this global basket, and Blend is doing the heavy lifting to execute on that, to solve on that. So you bring your money in on chain A, on protocol A, and asset A. And how does that disseminate to the whole ecosystem so that that intent is solved for? If we had to bring it back to intents, because it all comes back to intents. And I
It
love
all comes back
intents.
to intents. All of DeFi is basically now just intents. But sweet. On the same note, Manny, I would love to understand where did the idea come from? What motivated you? And you also talk a lot about localized savings. So if I'm earning in say INR, yen, euro, whatever, my outlook is always going to be towards that currency. So I think you drill down really deep on that while building Blend. And I'd love to understand why is that important and how do you do enable that?
Yeah, so how we came across Blend, it was very organically, Jamie and I are like maybe borderline best friends right now. Are we best friends, Jamie? I feel like we're best friends, right? Um,
Yeah, for the camera,
Are
for
you?
sure.
for the
Because
camera. Where we I mean he's the only person at 2 a.m. when I have a feature request that actually the red thing actually activates, but does not respond back to me, but is the only person that does that. But it naturally started with like, we just like typical hangouts, you know, you're kind of friends with colleagues all the time. I'm like really good friends with you. We chat about personal life, whatever, right? So we were just, what we normally do is we blow steam, we play games, we play Fortnite, and we were just chatting about him. It's like, man, I got all this idle like USDC. And then Jamie's like, yeah, so do I. And like, I'm like, what are you doing with it? I'm like, you just stick it here. And he's like, yeah, but like the yield just collapse so quickly. And like, I don't want to put in like, could I not just keep it in my Gnosis safe? Like, what if I could just have yield in my Gnosis safe and I don't have to get it? And so this is where like, we're like, oh, like, I think we could do something kind of cool here. And so literally a beginning was just simple. It's like, you know what, let's just create like a meta curator layer to like curate our own money. And then we're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, do we know anybody else that would want to use this? We reached out to a few friends who are like, yeah, this is great. So you have a global strategy and then I just can keep my key. So like the first clunky version of Blend was literally something bolted on to a Gnosis safe module. And then it was like, okay, there was a bunch of friends and said, we picked a global strategy and we just distributed yield. And we're like, okay, 8-9% yield. No one's monitoring it. Then we went even further and got another friend that knew about like quants. And then he built out the whole risk model. And it just kept saying, then people are like, well, I don't really want to connect to my wallet. Can you just spin a wallet up? And then it just kept snowballing one by one. And then what happens is the love of the trade of being in like growth, you tend to have friends everywhere in crypto, meaning every location. And so a friend based in India says, I love this. I hate INR. I was like, oh, that's kind of drastic, but cool. You hate INR. I understand you hate it. He's like, but I still think in INR, Manny. So I want a hedge on my INR. I'm going to come in with USD because I don't want to hold USD, but make the UI show me how much I'm gaining with my FX hedge and make me do this. So like, show me a basic thing. And I was like, oh, that's a nice basic thing. Then friends came from other parts of the world and started asking like, hey, I'm from Indonesia. Can you do this? I'm from the Philippines. Can you do it? And that was like the first version, really basic USD like strategy, like high fidelity, just showing users the simple like protection of FX. Then it just started snowballing and it's like, what else do you need? Well, okay, now there is deep enough liquidity in Euro. Our good friends at Polygon reached out and said, hey, we're building a Japanese yen strategy. Will you be like, you do this? And I was like, great. And then we're like, okay, what are the problems with this? So we hung out with Jesse from Base. He talked about local stable coins. It's really hard not to get lost when Jesse speaks. Like, hey, cool person, right? We hung out with him and he's like, Manny, local stable coins, you guys can solve this problem. You have a really unique like kind of way to think about this, right? And I was like, okay, this is really cool. Shout out to the Ethereum Foundation. Shout out to Abbas for like helping builders right now. I think one thing, everyone don't sleep on the Ethereum Foundation. They really help. Like they're really helping customers or helping builders. So they connected us. And then from there, we realized some problems with like, there's not enough US liquidity still sits in USD markets. How can we build these primitives? Hyperliquid came in, Ostium came in, and now you pass it off with someone with a financially engineering degree, which is Jamie. You put them in a room and say, write a white paper on this to solve this. And this is where like this new part of a Blend came, which is Blend can do synthetic positions mimicking a volatility of currencies, but you can still have the safety of deep billion-dollar USD markets. And then you can help onboard local liquidity on these local markets, but you can have that crutch so that 2.1 billion people are coming into middle class. They can all come in via Blend and they're not crippled by, oh, sorry, your government regulation has not spun up a local stablecoin, but Ostium and Hyperliquid is a perps. There is a perps position on there, so we can bridge that gap. And so that's where I kind of spun. And we can go into where we really are leading into is like this concept of like your savings is a belief is where Blend is going. So if you believe in Bitcoin, why can't you have part of your savings attached to Bitcoin upside and downside protection? Do you believe in corn? Do you believe in silver? And that's how we kind of think at Blend. We kind of think about like, what are the unique things that our friends can solve? And then we kind of go further. Long-winded answer, but that's how we kind of got to
No, I
this point.
love that. I also saw one of Jamie's tweets or comments under one of, I think, Ostium's post. It was about, hey, you can now take a position on uranium, which was just launched. And I was like, shit, wow, okay. So that means as soon as DeFi moves forward and introduces another asset class to the stack, Blend can integrate it quickly, regardless of which chain is being involved here.
Yeah, I mean, the fundamental like thesis was that is that like what is the middle ground of DeFi? So like there's some really good apps out there. Shout out to all the DeFi apps. One thing you'll see at Blend, we don't ever shit talk about another DeFi app. We love you all. There's so much room in this space. Okay. So that means like if you want to save on X DeFi app, you can save on that, right? If you want to trade on a thing on a perps position, have a really strong philosophy on like I think Bitcoin's going to the moon and you want to take 100x, you can do that. But what about if you're a savings? What about if you're in the middle and you're saying I want to have a belief to model with it? Why can't you do that? So 95% of your money sits in an 8% USD market, and 5% can mimic the upside via like a perp position of Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin goes all the way up, then you gain some of that upside. But if Bitcoin goes to zero, knock on wood, it ever does, you have downside protection. And so that's where we're starting to think about like structured products coming into DeFi. So the everyday person, because Blend is a web 2.5 company, we like to call it. And the number one thing that people actually talk about coming into Blend, so we spend a lot of time on optimizing for Google, optimizing, thinking about that is like, how do I not lose money on crypto? That's the number one thing that people want to know. So, but they want to hold Bitcoin. And people are what we call intelligent savers now. You're an intelligent saver, Kanishk. You have an idea that I think silver will appreciate because X, Y, and Z is happening in the economy. What if you could just tie a small amount of that to that? And if you're right, you make 20, 30%, 20% yield. But if you're wrong, you'd actually still make your 8% yield. And why can't we live in that future where like safety savings can be unlocked in some kind of form, right? In DeFi, and DeFi allows you to do that, and that's what we think DeFi is unlocked recently. Yeah.
Very interesting. Jimmy, would you like to add something here before I move forward?
Yeah, sorry, I was playing
Mhm.
around with my microphone. I got this new boom. It's been fun. But yeah, I mean fundamentally what Manny has been sort of painting this picture, and what I mentioned with Ostium is it's basically that if there is a perp position with effective liquidity, you can hedge that asset against USD, USDC, all of the various stable coins that match USD. And there's like some fun math to it that we have the white paper floating around somewhere, but the premise is that at some point, like you can keep all of your money or a chunk of your money in USD, earning USD rates, and you can take a portion of that and apply it to a notional hedge, and effectively you are able to cancel out the volatility of the USD. All of that said, if Ostium supports it and there is sufficient liquidity, or if Hyperliquid supports it and there's sufficient liquidity, you can earn a portion of that USD yield while you're taking a directional position in either uranium, for example, or if you want to save in a currency, like you don't need to have the liquidity on chain in a token. You just need it to be available on a perpetual market. And so that is a fundamental difference of where DeFi sits today and where we're going to, and what you'll see with Blend in a few weeks.
I see. Um, with that, I want to understand. You mentioned, and you mentioned the white paper is floating somewhere, so we can go into as much details as you want, and we can even abstract it at a level if that's okay. But knock on wood, Bitcoin goes to zero. What does Blend do to make sure that whatever money that I had put in Blend, which was allocated towards this Bitcoin position or towards even spot Bitcoin, how will it make sure that I don't lose all of my money and then I don't go broke? So what happens here?
Yeah, of course. So this is a bit outside of the scope of the white paper
Okay.
itself, but
Okay.
that's where Blend comes in and kind of takes the rest of the cake. The cool thing is two things to be known as truth. The invariant that your money, like let's say you have the 80-20 rule, 80% of your funds, your principal is sitting in safe USD yield, right? So only like even if everything went to zero, you're only at risk of 20%.
Hmm.
The cool bit is Blend is continuously doing rebalances. So it's checking the market. Hey, is something going wrong here? Is something invalid? Are the price basically are we going out of range of the prices by a certain set of standard deviations, based on an average? And it's doing that. And if it notices something is going wrong, we maintain these things called watchtowers. And what you'll see is your funds will actually be clawed back. We will Blend the system will revoke some of those funds from your Bitcoin position because it's going sour. But hopefully Bitcoin never goes to zero, right?
Yeah.
But even in the event, your funds, you're not going to get zeroed out. Like that's the really cool part. That's what we call downside protection. And it's
Hmm.
the simple fact that most of your money does not sit in the asset that you're tracking. It sits in USD. And as we all know, USD is quite sticky.
Yeah.
It has reasons to stick around
Yeah.
that go beyond all of this, but in general, yeah, your funds are not all at risk in the event of Bitcoin zeroing.
I love that. And thanks for explaining that. I also want to flip the coin a little bit here and look at it from a user's perspective. Manny, you mentioned that I, as a user who checks prices every now and then, keeps an eye on every DeFi protocol, I'm like an intelligent user. Um, so I'm technically a part of your total addressable market here. I'm using MBA terms here. I read an article earlier today, but I want to make sure that every type of listener for this particular podcast, this particular live stream, has some mental model around how they can use Blend, and later we can cover like the UI, the steps, whatever. But define what does the user even have to do and who the user should be.
Yeah, I think this is a user that wants a companion product in their stack. We really emphasize on this companion product issue. That means if you're let's use our friends in Europe. I really I'm super fascinated of addressing the European market because there's two things that the European market's very interesting. This whole new initiative EtherFi and everything's unlocked, this cashback thing, that whole the American North America, we're so used to this cashback thing. It's not that exciting to me, but the European user is. So a lot of them are coming into DeFi by great DeFi products like EtherFi, Avicii. I think there's Triage. All these products are bringing a new demographic of people on board. So what Blend for them and for these DeFi users in Europe is okay, you're using your Revolut app. You have a max of $20,000 that gives you 1.5% coming into thing. So Blend is the companion spillover product where you want things that are not your daily access ones. You can access it because we emphasize on instant withdrawals, but that's what it is. So it's you come into Blend, you have the same Revolut experience, log in with your Google or your email. A Privy wallet is spun up to you. We use Privy because it's the most robust technology and it's been battle tested. Spins one up for you. It automatically creates a Gnosis safe to you. So TradFi people, this is like an SMA. This is your singly managed account for you, spun up. This is all you own to this. And what Jamie said, this is a multi-chain Gnosis safe on every single thing. This shout out to our multi-chain lovers out there, but it's a multi-chain safe. So that means your money on every chain thing. So that you come in, you make your deposit from any chain. This is where Crosschain comes in. We don't know where your user experience is going to start. Either you start on, maybe you are a Hyperliquid trader and you want to come in from Hyper EVM. Maybe you are an Arbitrum user. Maybe you're a Polygon user. It doesn't matter. We detect your balance. We bring it into Blend, and Blend allocates it smartly for you in the positions that we're going to do. And that's it. You walk away, you're done. You don't need to worry about it. It's tracking. You can come in, do your daily loot spin, come and look at the UI. Is everything functioning the way you want? And then when you do need it for day-to-day expenses, one thing that you're never going to try to see us is people are sticky TVL. It is sticky TVL, but it's but you should be able to use it when you need to use it. What's the point of locking a customer's money when they don't need it? That's just that's anti Web3 for me, right? So the withdraw button, boom, off ramp via Coinbase, off ramp by external wallet, off ramp Jamie's working with other partners like Revolut, Cash App. Hopefully one of those days they'll be off ramp through all those things and do and live your daily experience off ramp through a card provider. So this is the whole experience of Blend, is like companion product.
Does it bring Blend closer to what Aave is going for today, where it's trying to stand next to banks and say, we have this amount of liquidity, this amount of users, and we give you this amount of yield. The yield is like 2% on Aave though, so it's being questioned heavily on crypto Twitter now. But do you see Blend standing right next to Aave in that sense?
So I think like the one thing about Aave is that like it's like one of those products that should be part of your like daily savings stack. I call it a stack because us younger people, we have like a supplement stack. We got this stack. We're all about the stacks here, right? Even though I want to hang out with you younger people, but I'm kind of an oldie. But
you're not old, man. Come on, you're not old. We had a burger together. Come on.
But it doesn't stand up with Aave. Is saying it's like, no, we're not going toe to toe Aave. You are a commodity. What Stani has built is like, thank you, you've done it. Morpho, thank you for the commodity you built. Pendle, thank you for the commodity you built. And that means like Aave has a place in the market, Blend has a place in the market, Pendle has a place in the market. So all it is that the people that don't want to have all their money in one position, like one, what do they say? Don't put your money in your eggs in all one basket. That's what Blend is trying to say, is like, we will help you do it. Some of it will go in Aave, and maybe you do want a larger punch on Aave, and you could potentially have the Aave app and do that to solve that problem. And so we're like this in between. That's why like we're also building a different products that Aave is not going to tackle, structure product, yen, saving what you believe. And so, but Aave will fit into our stack. And we think these base commodities are key because they're audited, battle tested, but they're for the user that does not want to individually manage Crosschain and other DeFi. So that's where we come in.
I love that. And that's also where we see most of DeFi going, where people don't want to do things manually, especially the intricacies of moving money from one place to other, finding where the position that can get them the most amount of value exists. And let's be real, with more people coming into crypto, the education around finding such intricacies, finding such, it's just non-existent at this point. So abstracting it and making sure that your user clicks one button and it simply just works, that's kind of the best thing. And
here's like an interesting fact for you. Like some of our, like a lot of our customers actually onboard via centralized exchange.
Interesting.
So that also is a part of a wonderful stack. So this morning, Jamie was helping a Binance customer. Yesterday, we noticed people that deposited directly from their Coinbase account. This is what we're saying, like this world of being a Web 2.5. The chain is, what is the chain? It's a global access vehicle that you can access 24/7, no turnoffs. That does not mean that you do not meet the user because they onboarded with a centralized exchange. Like we should get away from these primitives or creating barriers, saying this is the only way to do it because, but there's no one fit mold. And Blend is like meet you where you're at kind of protocol.
I think the other thing here is DeFi or crypto in general is really good at building primitives. It's the paradigm is starting to shift, but it's not fully there, where there are products in between that stack that act as the glue. And I think to all Manny has said, it all boils down to there's a lot of building blocks, but there's not a lot of glue that connects them. And so what Blend stands as is this piece that is effectively trying to marry all of this together, and so that nobody has to go and read tons of white papers and do due diligence when it should be all just presented like traditional Web 2. And so that's why we think of ourselves as more of a Web 2.5 product, because we are bridging the gap. We are blending the gap between Web 2 and Web 3.
That makes so much sense. And I feel that'll also make for a great clip later on. I also wanted to just shed some more light on the glue fact that you mentioned, because I think at the end of the day, whenever we look at a yield protocol, lending, borrowing, liquid stake, whatever, whenever we look at a protocol like that, all we look at is, okay, how much interest do I get here? And when can I withdraw? What's the lockup period, etc., etc., etc. So instant withdrawals in itself is a big unlock for a normal everyday user who likes to spot opportunities. And then you add another layer where Blend is just spotting these opportunities themselves, and the infra is making sure you allocate the funds right as you please. But in this, um, since we are working cross chain and we are taking a look at different markets on different chains, even for the same token, that also means whenever a new chain, a new token, a new product is announced, they will do an airdrops at some point in time. And if I allocate funds in the market where I can get this bonus, does Blend look into that? Because I'm pretty sure all our users would love to know that if Blend has allocated money into a place where I can get an airdrop from, that's like a shiny golden egg in DeFi airdrops. The modern cashback. So teach us more about it. Is that a part of the stack?
So that's an interesting question, right? From today, right? So today, a little bit more immediate of airdrops is like Merkle rewards, things like that, Galaxy campaigns, and all of these users go into they're allocating their own Gnosis safe is allocating directly into those.
Yeah.
So in a lot of ways, yes, your Gnosis safe, like we're not an omnibus product. So what that means is we're not just we're not just a stable coin that users deposit into and the funds go off and do what they need. Your Gnosis safe, your own one of one signer Gnosis safe is the same Gnosis signer on base as it is Arbitrum, as it is mainnet, as it is potentially the new chain and protocol. So when your safe goes out and gets those opportunities based on this global intent, you're the one that's earning those rewards. So you as a user will. And where Blend is able, we actually ingest and convert those rewards on your behalf. So yes, you are applicable to these rewards, these airdrops, if and when they do appear.
TLDR, we auto harvest for you. That's when if you look at it, the yields reflect that us auto harvesting. We do that everything because the base primitive is that you're living life. Your savings account shouldn't feel like you're not, like you have to monitor it. So if there is something that's like, if you see a lot of DeFi yields out there, they're like, okay, it's 2%, but it shows 11% little shiny badge. And you hover over top of it, like, oh, what is this? Like 8% coming from this thing. But if that 8% is a liquid token that can be swapped into your base asset USDC, Blend does that automatically for you. So you reflect it. We don't let any of those nuances like tie up for you. So you have like a whack of random tokens that you need to swap out. That would just ruin the whole experience.
And part of our mandate is the continuous streaming of so we're not we disincentivize this idea of like future tokens earning now for future tokens. Like your account is earning for the now. So it's really nice that you have like USDC in, USDC out, or whatever equivalent quote currency in and out. So good question. I like that. A lot of thought that went into that.
I can see that you're one step ahead of me here. You already got the infra ready. Because as you mentioned, because like I'm a user who would look at a shiny new protocol, and now with Claude and everything, my first instinct is let me make a bot that can just do something on this protocol. Which actually drags me on to the next part. And it's actually something I've looked at already, but Jamie and Manny, I'd let you take this forward as you please, which is the Blend's developer documentation. So since you have open source APIs, people can check it out, people can use it. What are some expectations you have? And I think the link is docs.blend.money, right? So I can just pin it on the
correct
banner right below here as well. But yeah, so when for a developer that's looking at the stream, what are your expectations? What message would you like to give to them? And what motivations should they have to build on Blend?
Yeah. I feel like I'm on the spot. But generally speaking, take a look at our app.blend.money, because what it is a thin client over our API and SDK. Everything you see on that is our canonical like representation of what our APIs can do. If you are a developer and you want to add yield sources with proper due diligence and permission whitelisting into your product, you can with those APIs. That's really what we're trying to focus on. Like, how do you empower the next generation of neo financial products with yield where they don't have to do all of the DeFi headaches to get the DeFi yield? And so if you're interested in something like that and you've been to the app.blend.money and saw what you like, you can cherry pick some of those features and use the API to get that.
Nice. Oh, it's very, very nicely put. And most of crypto is now split between perps, prediction markets, and neobanks anyway. You know,
Trust me, I've
and
been bugging Jamie on when prediction market belief savings account. So that is one thing where we've been like, like how could you tie a belief of a prediction market output to your savings? And could that be an interesting thing? And Blend actually could do it because everyone is an individual position on every single thing. It's like Kanishk is isolated from Manny's position. Manny's isolated from Jamie's position.
Yeah.
And how do you do that kind of thing? And that's like one thing. So anybody listening out there, if you're building something cool, docs.blend.money, come into our Discord. Love to help you there.
nice.
Yeah. And I
it's
know you mentioned something about AI. We did build a Blend Intelligence too. So this is taking the next level. So if you want to ask some fun questions to Blend Intelligence because you're like, I ain't reading this, bro, then go ahead and read and ask Blend Intelligence. You can even swap between local currencies like Brazilian real to Singaporean dollar, all in this. That's our next form factor. We think we might even just see chatbots using Blend. And we have actually a really nice chatbot actually building on Blend right now as well. So.
Nice. That's because that's one of the first things that attracted me to Blend was the fact that I don't understand what's happening in DeFi, but Blend has my money. So now I can just ask AI these things. It'll educate me because at the end of the day, I will believe a product if I understand what's happening on the product. And it's one of the core reasons why I like Across as well, because I understand what's happening here in the intent model. And now it's a different thing that each week I learn something new from our engineers, which just, there's layers to it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be the same for your team at Blend as well. There's going to be layers to the financial engineering that's gone into the process. Right?
Jamie, small feature request. Change Ask Blend to Ask Kanishk. That's
it's
like it's our built-in DevRel. It's our built-in DevRel, we'll call it, right? Ask Kanishk.
24/7 customer support. That's what they promised.
Well, you're a DevRel. This is your whole job is education, right? You build the best content for that. So
that is true. I'll tell you a funny story. At one of our offsites, we were like looking at what our new website experience can be like, especially for like across.to. So they put in 24/7 customer support, and they literally just put my photo there, and they were like, "Done. That's it. That's it. We don't need anything else here."
Is that live on the site today?
No, it's not. We're still like coding it out. So I gotta get, done with like the live stream part of it and then see where we are at with the designs and stuff. But yeah, that's something that happened.
I love it.
But on that note, now that we're talking about websites, we're talking about a little bit of growth. I want to shift some gears towards this section of the live stream and ask you, what's the growth engine at Blend like? What's your focus? How do you get to your users? And what are some strategies that you're cooking? And if anybody who's listening, because I know you have ambassador program applications that are finishing today, if I'm not wrong. So teach us more about it. What should the listener know about how like the growth happening at Blend?
Yeah, I mean, it's two-pronged, right? So like one lends really well to docs.blend.money, right? The developer experience, people building on top of us. We have tons of like stable coins and neobanks thinking about building on top of us. And that'll always be part of our like heritage, just because like building these DeFi rails, also getting basically a cross out of the box coming into Blend, like all those small little things that you don't need to think about, you kind of get packaged nicely. The other thing is like, we want to get out of the CT bubble, which is like, that's been like our hyper focus. And I think I alluded to it, like some of our customers do come from centralized exchanges. And how do those centralized exchanges reach those customers? They reach those customers they reach them through X, but X is not the only thing. They use TikTok, they use Instagram, they use Facebook. And so that's like a part of our primitive. If we think that we can be a global, like we can bring global money on chain, then why would we not meet them where they are? And so that's a lot of the time that we're spending. It's like building content, interviewing customers that have not DeFi, spending lots of time with them. Okay. Thinking about localization. Okay. You're in Brazil. What is the onboarding like experience that we should build there? What's their offboarding experience? What does that look like? Should we build it? Should we partner up with a Lemon app, for example? Should they build it? Where in the pieces of the puzzle? And so that's what we usually really spend time, is interviewing small regional customers and getting on lock. And like our core initiative, I would say we want 1 million users using Blend with an average deposit size of $10,000, because with 2.1 billion people are coming to middle class, and the on-chain is something that's on 24/7, accessible. And this is like the next future of it. So how do we build those? How do we build to those people? And is that regionally we do it? Is it like much more continent wide? And that's kind of what we've been really focused on. And so, yeah. And then that's what the ambassador program comes in. It's like, how do we build people that talk that language, know those pain points? Because like, you know this, you're a builder. I'm going to put my North American biases on building a product. And that's the worst thing you could do as a product builder, right? So one thing that like Jamie and I did is we've registered for WhatsApp Business. We know like a big demographic of people that want to go on WhatsApp Business and use Blend in that way. We know like if you go to our parts of the world, when you go to Argentina, you even see like WhatsApp your business here, WhatsApp business, all through WhatsApp. The other thing is like we built a Telegram bot. People, there's parts of the world that use that. So we want to meet the user where they at. So a lot of the time is just getting these ambassadors saying, help us understand it, build local regional things. I've talked to you about this, Kanishk. We're hitting up like Indian universities. Okay, these are younger people. They're getting educated, are going to be middle class. Blockchain is going to be part of their like saving experience. Not all of it, but some of it. How do we access you? And so, yeah.
I also like it a lot because um, for the longest time in most communities, especially here in India, and I've also seen parts of it happen in America, in Korea, Tokyo. It's just that crypto is looked down upon because we have this reputation of being a community of scammers and people who just pump and dump tokens all the time. And of course, that's a part of it. But then there's also this side of stable DeFi that is growing almost at a rapid speed right now. Um, and it's nice to see that we finally have stable applications that are accruing value from other DeFi applications, and you get all of it in one place. And you blend it all together, pun intended, and then you call the protocol blend. So it's all pretty cool. It's all pretty cool. I really like it. So yes, for all the listeners who want to be a part of the Blend community and be an ambassador, the applications, I think today is the last day. So please go head over to the Blend Money account on Twitter. You'll find it's one of the top tweets right now. Just find it, fill the form out, and then give Manny and Jamie more work to do when they go through the applications, fill things out.
we have a lot of people, we have a lot of passionate people that care about savings, which is like really cool. Like some of the people that have DM'd me is like, this is really cool, Manny. I don't have a lot of money right now. I'm going to put in $50. Yeah. Cool. I mean, like there's no judgmental. You got to start somewhere. Like that's the number one thing. It's like crypto has had this thing like it's only meant for like ultra wealthy whales. No, it's not. It's meant for everybody. And why Jamie is actually the biggest like pusher of this gas abstraction everywhere. It's like, why just because they don't have some gas money doesn't mean that their $50 is less valuable than someone else's value. And that's the key thing, right? We're trying to democratize access, gas, even across chain, because like not everyone grew up knowing that like this multi-chain universe lives. And so that's what we're really start honing down on here. And that's why we think the ambassadors are really important. You'll bring localization to the community. You'll tell people it's okay. If you save $50 a week for the next 5 years, you're going to have a whack load of money to change your life. And I have a North American view on everything, but for some people, $10,000 is a lot of savings in your part of the world. And you should be happy that you're slowly getting down to it and you're not getting your money pulled away, because like meme coins are great. And I think they fit in the dopamine rush. I think you should have fun on chain. Like you'll never make me bash a meme coin, right? But if you fit something else that also thinks about your future in the long term, and like Stani, Morpho, Pendle, all these other primitives have worked so hard. Billions of dollars have been poured into these primitives. Sometimes Blend is just going to be the conduit that'll help you get into these primitives in one easy way and meet you there.
I love that. Jimmy, would you like to add something here?
Yeah. So I think a lot of what we're really talking about here is how to make DeFi less scary. The answer is usually education, but it's also bringing the comforts that you have from your existing banks, like your existing finance. Nobody wants to eat, like, there's no transaction fees that like prevent you from doing things when you're making a deposit into a bank. Why should that be the limitation? Why do you need to why do you need to worry about gas? Like, that's such a DeFi concept or a crypto concept. Like, there's so many things, the little tiny friction points that just like destroy conversion rates when you start to think about people actually taking a risk. You're right, Kanishk. DeFi crypto, it tends to have, in some parts, some circles, it's almost a pejorative. But why does it have to be? And when somebody decides to finally make that jump to do something with it, why are we putting up so many of these small little pebbles in their way where it's like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock? At some point, you just need to start chiseling away at that, smoothing the road so that it's an easier transition, so that people can actually get these benefits without necessarily having to open up 10 YouTube tutorials to figure it out.
Yeah.
Or just not trying it in the beginning.
Or one Kanishk YouTube tutorial. Just throwing it out.
I gotta make
Yeah.
them.
You know what I mean?
Kanishk, you could do it in one step.
I gotta make them. No, I like them. I
Hey,
like my life.
don't you know the meme, Kanishk? Everyone's learned off that same Indian YouTuber how to code. You're this here.
Yeah.
And being Indian, you're going to be, everyone's learned off Kanishk how to be multi-chain. That's just what you
I hope that happens someday. Don't give ideas to my team.
comment.
They'll make this my KPI next quarter, and then you'll see me with a whiteboard
Risk
here. And
Labs
I'm just
across
gonna-
team, if you're listening,
No,
Kanishk is your person to build all your UGC content. He's lovable.
Okay, before we're almost towards the end. Jamie, I'm gonna put you on the spot here.
Of course.
Would you be open to sharing the blend experience, the UI, the UX, to our users today? You know, presenting your screen, walking us through the flow, or
Sure.
even just like demoing the app on the state that you use it as. So with your existing wallet or whatever. If you're comfortable with that, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I don't have my personal EOA on my Chrome instance, but I have it on my phone. However, I can show you our little dev wallet that I use.
Yeah, sure.
commonly.
Whatever works for
Yeah.
you.
I can even show mine, Jamie, if you
Oh,
want.
okay, even better.
Perfect. Yeah. That works.
That's the nice part about Blend. You don't need to be an engineer to share it. It's very shareable.
Let's if anyone's listening, that's just a shout out for Manny not included on the engineering team. You know, they're not allowing me to come in there. They forget that I have a computer science degree. But what they tell me, what did Jamie say to me? Hey Manny, when's the last time you coded in Smalltalk or something like that? He always likes to pick the most obscure language to bring it up to me. I was a C programmer, y'all. So just FYI, I did not use
I would
Smalltalk.
love to see a front end in C one day, Manny. I would love to see that.
The nice part before we jump into it is because we're using embedded wallets, like you can actually interact with I have a small iPhone, but you can actually interact with your like Blend account on your phone in the full way without necessarily needing to connect a wallet. So that's one of the biggest friction points that people have had. No one wants to carry around their EOA all the time.
I love
But
that.
I'll let you take it away, Manny.
Yes, Manny. Let's go.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Simple experience. I'll walk through it quickly. This is Blend as your unlogged state, which is quite nice. You walk in. I myself am Canadian Indian, but I like to pretend I'm more Indian than I really am. But I like to think in INR. You can sign in. The cool thing about it is like we localize it all the way down, so you can think all the way down to INR. If I make deposits, every day, what does that look like to me? How do I get to this like large sum? It's like the one thing is like being like the older person in crypto. I'm 40, is like time in the market can never be replaced. I'm sure you guys are like super smart out there. You're gonna hit banger trades, but like at the end of the day, time in the market it's like a true tested time. So you get to see that. One thing is like we kept it a crypto native. You don't need to log in to see all the cool stuff because we think that crypto's actually nailed that. You can still read our due diligence report that it's like super heavy. You can read every single detail about what we're thinking about risk, just like how you would like an ETF like portfolio. These are our two quants that work dearly on this, change logs. We don't hide this stuff, but we also don't put it into your face because like some people just don't care, right? You log in with your Google account. Here, me over here in Blend Money. You can, I'm in my USD savings. I've set my home currency to INR. So I'm thinking in INR here. You can see what my growth, you can also see that like INR sadly has weakened against the US dollar. So I gained an extra 2,000 rupees just being protected in USD, which is quite a nice thing. But you can apply that to other home currencies too. I was just talking to my friend Elliot from Fluent. He lives in South Africa, so you can even apply the Rand if you want. Even the Canadian dollar, and the list kind of goes on. Let me switch it back to, well, let's use Brazilian real. That's always fun. Okay, so all the beautiful onboarding that you need that's provided into your local company, so a local country. So if your Apple Pay is available, Google Pay, bank, all that stuff, it's all regionalized to your countries. We use, we're really heavily partnered by using with Coinbase. Shout out to the Coinbase team for helping us to build this good onboard experience. This is your Blend internal wallet. You can keep your balance in your Blend wallet that you don't want to deposit. You can connect an external wallet. So you don't always want to bring in every single dollar. Like a lot of things that we learned from our user experience from hanging out with our like crypto communities, that we use Ledger, but a lot of people use their hot wallet as their like main wallet, but they don't want to connect it to the Blend app and say, oh, I don't want my $20,000 all in Blend. So we have it so they can bring in whatever DCA into Blend in every way you want. Whoever's listening, please use a Ledger or like a hardware wallet. But I know a lot of you like newer people on crypto use your hot wallet as your main safety wallet. So we have worked around that solution for you. Cash is like a way that we're starting to work with local online, like a local stabilized currency. So you can swap from Brazilian real to Singaporean dollar, much more cheaper than anything you want. You can off ramp that to your localized bank, off ramp that to your EOA. And you get that full onboarding experience. You blend in, you drop your thing in, the Blend allocates, and you can every day come and check out your growth, spin your daily reward, come and see what you got for points. We have a nice leadership board for people that want to come in and just partake in the leadership board. And we're building more and more gamification because we think the youth they do want to check their money, but they want sometimes a reason to have a cup of coffee and like I said, I'm old, play Wordle or some other thing while they're coming onto the platform. And so everything is kind of embedded away here. You get your account right here. That's your Privy wallet. Right here is your one-to-one Gnosis save, and think about that as your singly managed account. So that's Blend in a nutshell.
That is such a nice demo.
If
And
I
I
could
think
quickly share my screen just
Sure.
to show you what the
yeah.
just to show you what that beautiful spinner looks like.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm on day 15.
we
So
got
maybe beat me to it.
yet, I guess, today. Right?
This is the lovely spinner.
Oh my God, we got a spinner.
Oh, 63 points, but I'm getting there. And the really nice part is it's all shareable, right? So we don't want people to share like their actual money, but there's other things you can share to kind of promote your ref codes and things.
Yeah. And Jamie, you can kind of show, I kind of skipped it, but the Blend intelligence is that little fun little knob at the bottom, and you can ask a bunch of questions. Like, we want to make DeFi approachable, and we're working tirelessly every day to how can we humanize it more and more, and that's kind of the key. Education means like less scariness, and more informed decisions, and we want to be part of that experience. Crypto's for everybody, and it will be for everybody. It may take a little bit longer till we get there, but we want to be part of that journey.
That's amazing. And it's also cool because people like me who want to try out new products, but they don't necessarily understand what's happening on the first go. Now I can just ask and I can just move forward. And this is amazing. Folks, with this, we come towards the end. And before we go off, Manny and Jamie, would you like to give any closing remarks?
Well, shout out to the Across team. if you want cheap bridging, you should use a cross. We use a cross for balancing because it's cheap bridging. I think you can actually get 1-to-1 to Hyperliquid for free. So go do that. I know I said don't perps trade, but I also said that crypto's for everything, buddy. So if you want to do that, a cross is the way to do that, to be honest. And I fundamentally, and I leave this with parting words, I fundamentally enjoyed my time at Risk Labs, and like we said, a true testament of how much I loved working there is we are an integration of them. So anyone that's building Crosschain that you need that, go use a cross to do that.
It was
beautiful. Thank you for
actually the first integration we reached for. So yeah, closing from my side as well. Like the Across team is truly a class act. If you need bridging, you're probably already using it realistically through all of the integrations that they support. But if not, check out Across.2. I hear they have a pretty cool new swap UI.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining. This has been Crosschain with Kanishk. If you are new to Across, do go check out app.across.2. It's like on the banner right at the bottom. If you want to build with us, you can check out our documentation. If you want to clarify any questions, have any concerns, reach out to me and I'll make sure that all of that is settled. And Manny and Jamie, thank you so much for coming on board. We wish Blend the highest amount of success. And we also hope to see you guys soon. Have a good day. And I'll see you all next time.
Take care.
Bye-bye.